What were the main problems with the 225 to 300? Like what would go wrong the most?
I think that they would eventually run lean and blow up.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good ever.
I mean, I think that their biggest problem is that the fuel system. So if you're running ethanol or you're running some crappy fuel, it tears them up because, or you let them sit. So that's kind of the bigger problem that you have now with older HPDIs is that they, that fuel system can't sit. If you're constantly running fuel and oil through them, keeps everything lubed, keeps everything moving, keeps everything like the O-rings from dry rotting and having problems. Mm-hmm. And so they'll run. But if you let them sit and then let, fuel that has been sitting run through the engine and the fuel system, the filters, the VST, that high pump, in that high pressure pump, there's a bunch of little tiny fuel filters that people call them the mystery filters or whatever. And that'll kind of get clogged. They'll clog those up and it could be a real problem. And then your basic options are to take those filters out. I don't think you can buy them. So you've got to either send the whole pump out to like flagship marine and they'll rebuild it and put new filters in there, or you just run it without the filters. But then that obviously goes through that pump, then goes down into your injectors and messes up your injectors, and everything on that engine is expensive. Like the hoses, the fuel pipes that are on the back that go from the high pressure pump to the
injectors,
the fuel rails where the injectors are, is like a, it's not full copper, but it's got like copper ends and it's got like a metal sheathing around it, and those things will get pinholes and they'll leak, and that'll cause you problems. And those things are like a couple $100 a piece, and there's 4 of them. And then it's got injector drivers, 2 sets of them, 2 computers, which are injector drivers, and those are a couple $100 a piece. That whole pump itself is probably $1,000. The fuel pumps inside the VST are like $800. So it's like,
so really there was just too much going on for its own good.
Yeah,
it was just like, unless you were constantly on top of it and running it a certain way, it would just fail. It had too much, so it would.
Well, just like anything else on a boat, if you let it sit.
Sure, but I mean, for the most part, nothing has quite as bad of a reputation as them 225 to 300 HPDIs.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I've never had the cowling off one, but I'm glad I haven't, because I've heard nothing but bad things about them. Like, I've never heard one person say anything good about it. The 150s and 200s, different stories. It's like, everybody's, it's got HPDIs on it. And then they're like, what kind of HPDIs?
Yeah, which ones?
That's always the first question. You say 200s. Oh, okay, then we're good. Yeah, I'll work on that, or I could think about buying that. But but if you say 225 and up, keep it, man. Yeah, just, I don't even want to look at it, and I never understood why. So I guess it's too much going on, right?
I would say that that would be probably what you could say, is that there's too much going on, because I mean, once they're running, I mean, they're mean. Like it's a fast, torquey.
It's one little thing goes out, and then it's expensive.
Super expensive to keep it running. And that's, I think, the biggest problem, especially if you got to pay somebody to work on it. I mean, if you got to pay somebody to come work on it, and now you're throwing, $600, $700, $800 parts at it, it can get really pricey.
Yeah, I guess the biggest problem too is nowadays working on them, the cost of labor to work on them can exceed the worth of the engine. And then it really just gets into the point of, is it worth dumping that kind of money into this engine?
Yeah.
It's probably not. So then just get a repower.
Yeah, that's the answer. Another $30,000 engine on the back of your boat. Like, no, I mean, I don't mind them. I kind of like them. I don't really like working on them anymore. And for that fact right there is that they have gotten more expensive. So it's kind of like priced it out of you know, there's only so many ways that you can cut costs on repairing something. Either A, you're going to get cheap labor, and then, you know, how long is it going to take the person to fix it? Or B, you're going to get somebody that's expensive, and now you're paying by the time. And so if you get a good technician there and it takes them, you know, 8 hours to go through something, you know, how much are you going to be there? $1,000. And then you've got to throw a couple $100 parts on top of that. So let's say you need one of those fuel hoses, or, you know, a VST pump or the high pressure pump. You know, your bill can go from $1,000 to $3,000-4,000. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I'd rather just not get involved in that, just because of that. It's like, I feel bad, you know, here's somebody that's, you know, got to dump $4,000 into this 20-year-old engine, and, you know,
yeah, I
just don't like getting in that position where,
yeah,
you know, because I don't want to work for free either, and be like, you know, I'll come and go over here and work for, you know, 2 days on something, and then, you know, then you got to give them a bill, and
they're not happy.
No one's happy at the end of the day, and no. I'd rather just not be in that situation.